Hello everyone, Bertina Amy here, and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I thought I would do a DIY Cancer Dragon Junk Journal page spread 3. Okay, so for this next page spread, originally I wanted to go ahead and use this paper bag as the base page, but then I felt the structure would have felt different and I didn't particularly care for that and everything else would be the same. So I decided to go ahead and first off, trim off the bag end where it's closed off so that I could have one straight opening. And then I decided to go ahead and glue it to where the original opening sticks out to the right hand side. Then I noticed I created a small little pocket for the left hand side and realized that it probably won't open completely all the way through when I want to open this book up for the elements I want to put in this. So I was double thinking what I was going to do about that. But in the meantime, I knew I wanted to extend this page to all look cohesive. So I go ahead and take another bag, trim off the upper half without words, and then attach it to the other side of this page spread so that it could look all cohesive. I definitely knew that the back end I wanted completely glued on, and then the top end originally did get glued on because I later go ahead and take some more of my tea-dyed manuscript pages and go ahead and tear around the edges so that I could go ahead and glue them all over top, which then seals the gap opening between the left addition as well as the left opening of this original bag. The addition piece for the other bag, I actually had to glue down the sides so that it would actually not be poking out as much, and so that it matches more closely to the other bag on the right hand side. I hope that makes sense. So off camera, I went ahead and cut out that spot where actually there's a gap between the original bag and the additional bag. And then I immediately kind of regretted it, thinking that I made a mistake. So I'm just going to have to see when I want to add elements to it, whether or not I want to seal that or not, because I could always go back over top it. But in the meantime, I go ahead and just grunge it up some more. I wanted it to look dirty, not so much vintage, but more dirty. So I take my vintage photo ink pad and I just rub it all over the top part of this page spread after the glue had dried. And then I go ahead and take my tea in a spray bottle and just sprayed it all over top, hoping to give it more like of an aged, old, or dirty look. Once that dried, I repeated the process using the ground espresso ink pad I have. Then it still didn't look dirty enough to me, so I decided to take some black watered down acrylic paint and go over it with a wash to try to dirty it up some more. And I did want some of the brown spots to come through. That's why I went ahead and did a wash instead. And this is how scrumptious it sounds once dried. Then I went over that with my black soot ink pad. So for this page spread, I decided to design this tree using Canva. And I knew I wanted it longer than the original image because I wanted it to actually fit within this actual pocket or whatever, even if it went all the way through, because the idea is that the roots are in there deep. And actually, I probably overdid it, but I might have to adjust it off camera. But in any case, I wanted it to be sturdy and not easily broken apart, and that's how paper reacts. So I thought I'd go ahead and first trim off the excess on either side of the tree, then glue it onto felt and repeat the steps. I really wanted the roots to be cut as close to the actual roots as possible, and I knew that I would need some sturdiness, and I felt felt was going to be the best way to do it without adding too much thickness. For the upper part of the tree, I felt it didn't really matter as much, and so I decided to be a little bit more loose in terms of my fussy cutting, and I went ahead and just went around as much of it as I could, and you can see there's still some white background, but to me that's okay. Then I wanted to make it look as natural as possible, so I go ahead and take some of my twine and cut a certain length to be able to represent two sets of the roots at the bottom of the tree, and decide to go ahead and cut to that length and unravel either ends and then glue it to the back while making sure the lines line up or the twines line up with the roots so that it looks like natural roots coming out of the ground. I hope that makes sense. And once I completely cover the back end, I go ahead and insert it through and decide I want it to go completely towards the back. And I'm not sure if I'm going to use that side pocket or not. I'm still not sure if I'm going to seal up that pocket. I kind of like the idea of variety there, but in any case, it definitely looks like I need to trim down this tree, which I'll probably do off camera just so that it could look a little bit more natural and not have so much sticking out. So to be determined as of yet. Meanwhile, I have a ton of these leaves I didn't want to throw away from all of my floral stems that I picked up from Dollar Tree over the years, particularly since I started this YouTube channel. And anyways, I wanted to add them here because we're going for natural background look here. It's supposed to look like some kind of outdoorsy kind of a theme. This is supposed to be like the ground where it looks dark and dirty, and I'm just adding leaves that have fallen onto the ground, and the pocket just pulls out an actual tree and some roots and things like that. So I hope that makes sense, but I just go ahead and cut them down into individual leaves and then glue them sporadically, and later I go ahead and grab another set of leaves and I write with white ink with my acrylic paint markers, and I write the words I want for the phrase on this page spread. And of course, glue them down. With the last word on the phrase representing the word light, I decided to go ahead and just write it right on there because I ran out of the leaves too. Next up, I wanted to use leaves to actually be glued to the edges of the next page spreads. I hope this makes sense. I don't know if it does, but basically I got a bunch of the same sort of fall looking leaves and I cut them down individually and I glue them to be on the back end of the next page spread that this is going to be glued onto to the left side, because I wanted to make sure that there's all coverage everywhere, because the back end of the other page is white and I don't want that white to show through. And I also wanted rough edges to be everywhere and to look very unique and everything. So I thought it made more sense to use up more of these leaves that I have on hand. So I do that for the left side. For the right side, I decide to glue the leaves to the back end of this page spread. I hope that makes sense. And then that way, when it's glued to the next page spread to the right, it won't even be noticeable. We shouldn't see any of the white paper. So here I'm just taking my third page spread and attaching it to the second so that I have a bit of a growing block. So this is technically the final results, but the official final results will appear at the end of the series, as I may be adding more to it as we go through this project. Did you know that I am currently selling personally designed t-shirts based off of my upcoming book, The Cancer Dragon? Here I'm unboxing some orders from coworkers who I'm very grateful to for supporting my mission. If you were to ask me honestly, the idea for this logo came from my DIY Cancer Dragon wreath. My husband bought me a shirt once that said, "I kicked cancer's ass," but because of where I work, HR would have had a hissy fit over that, so I decided to design my own. To me, there's something to be proud of in becoming a Cancer Dragon Slayer, and I really hope my journey inspires you. I never planned on designing shirts for this, but as I kept creating and finding ways to express my life story, it just happened. I thought to myself, who else might love a shirt like this? On the back, the sayings are made for slayers, warriors, supporters, and even for honoring lost warriors. These shirts were created with all of you in mind, and I was so happy with the design that I wanted to make it available for anyone who feels connected to this journey. Okay, so here's the cover so far for my upcoming book. The basic gist of it is, I became diagnosed with stage 3 cancer, got pregnant during fertility treatments, refused to abort despite my doctor's warnings that I'd die at birthing my child. For book updates or to support me, scan the code or click the link below. If you enjoyed this video, please smash that like button and subscribe. And until next time, we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.